Guys, it's Bina, and in today's video, I want to go over the Lightning Swarmblade build guide. So what has changed? This is an old build, been played forever. It's been a staple, a fan favorite. It's been nerfed a few times. What's happening with it this patch? So specifically, we gain access to Mantle of the Pale Ox. This body armor just gives you a bunch of health, a bunch of damage reduction. It gives you movement speed. It's like really, really good. So that is going to be increasing its tankiness significantly. Another thing that changed is that the Rootless Simoon gloves, the chance for you to spawn Tornado has increased. So now it's 2 times per 3 seconds. That is another like passive boost to your damage. You're going to be dealing with the endgame setup of this about 1 million passive DPS with your Fire Tornado that spawn automatically. Again, this is a melee build. You're in Swarmblade form. You're scaling some defenses in dodge with certain skills and nodes that you take in there. You're reliant on leech for your recovery. It's a melee build that scales. You accumulate tornadoes on you, and these tornadoes they shoot out storm bolts, which scales with Gathering Storm. So you have like a pretty significant AoE, even though you're a melee character. Your tornadoes are not melee, so they can shoot out further ahead. Overall, I think this build is, now that we have much better tools to test builds and compare between each other, I think this build is like a solid B tier, but like nothing crazy. It's there are definitely some better builds to play this patch, even though this one is a fan favorite. You're kind of like, you know, you feel like you're, I don't know, Kha'Zix or something like that. You know, you're just you are the Sharknado in this build. So that pretty much covers the introduction that I want to say for this build. Let's go ahead and watch a little bit here. There was a shade, I think, that I did. This is with the endgame setup. I am currently, this is a character in offline mode, right? So this is what you can expect with the endgame setup of the Lightning Swarmblade. So you are fairly tanky, not the tankiest for sure. As you can see, your leech is very, very good. There is another option that you could do with the glove as well, to go with gloves that will let you get damage over a certain duration, so that you can benefit from overleech. I think I'm gonna have to make another video talking about overleech, because as a mechanic in itself, people need to learn about this. But like stacking your instances of leech, and if you have something that is damaging you, if you have something that is damaging you, either it is a percentage of health loss per second, or a certain damage that is spread over a certain duration, then you are never reaching full health, and then all of your instances of leech, they just stack up, and they keep you keep your entire stack. Because if you reach max health, you lose all your leech. All your leech stacks are gone, and so that is like the overleech deck. But that's gonna be for another video. But that can make you way tankier, especially with your recovery. So let's go over the build guide. Old build, basically. Not much has changed. It's good. You get the Brewmaster belt as well. This belt, I haven't seen this play in many other people's planner. Don't sleep on this belt. It's OP. The ability to gain 10% of your max health as endurance threshold stacks, so you can get your entire health pool on demand as endurance threshold. Don't sleep on this belt, guys. Okay, and this is target farmable as well. So Lightning Swarmblade, let's go right into it. You transform in Swarmblade form. You will sustain, so you want to get as much melee attack speed as possible. You will sustain your rage with some of these nodes here, with health and rage gain on kill, and rage gain on boss or rare hit. So that will make it so that items like Seed of Ekidrasil, which grants you a certain percentage of your damage dealt to mana, which also works with rage, you get no downsides out of it. And getting a lot of rage is important, because you're going to be scaling off of a multiplier in Gathering Storm with excited bolts that will, every bolt that you do will consume mana, but since you have so many hits, you are going to be essentially regaining that rage super fast and staying at full rage. So it's basically just proccing Tornado with Wind Fury strikes. Army of the Tempest requires less stacks to proc the Tornado. So this is how you're proccing your tornadoes. You grab a lot of crit chance. The progression bar is at the bottom here below. If you want to see the order in which I recommend grabbing the nodes. So very important, while you are in Swarmblade form, you are always diving to cast Maelstrom. Maelstrom will provide you with a multitude of buffs, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. But this is going to be very important. And then the rest of the points are going to be in armor, attack speed, pretty straightforward stuff. Tornado, it's your main damage skill. They will cast storm bolts. So storm bolts via storm bolts is going to be scaling with the gathering storm tree, but this node, the charge storm, will make it cast storm bolts more frequency, and then they have it they attach on you, and they have all of the multipliers for tornado. Keep in mind they don't apply for the actual storm bolts. So all we care about is that they attach onto you, so they follow you. Also, you get the duration, you get the frequency for the storm bolts, you get cast speed, and you go in here. I've tested many different setups. Even though the storm orbs, the churning orbs, they are not lightning, they are still a spell. And speccing into those are going to be better than speccing into I mean like mana efficiency or more attack speed or stuff like that. Like, this tree is the best setup that I could possibly make with the end game setup, so keep that in mind. They add quite a bit, and they also help apply more of your elements as well, for armor shred and stuff like that. Maelstrom gives us mainly haste, frenzy, a whole bunch of increased stun chance. So very early on in empowered monos, you're going to be stunning things all the time. Another proc for our storm bolts as well here. This doesn't really matter, it's not that important, it's only one and we have so many already, but it is still another multiplier of damage. We get increased dodge rating per Maelstrom. This is going to be important because we're going to be scaling flat dodge rating with Shroud of Winter inside of Serpent Strike, so we're going to talk about this a little bit later. And then the duration, chill chance per second. Some of these nodes are not like that important, like this one is not super important, but like, it's still there, right? Serpent Strike. When you are in Swarmblade form, this node allows you to use the Serpent Strike tree. So we're going to grab everything that is good for us in here, like attack speed, getting some dodge. I am grabbing the Primal Serpent in this patch because of the Ox. So if you don't have your totem up, or if you're not using any of the little minions that you can get while in Swarmblade form, I forgot the name, but that's going to be another source of minions to get the damage redirected for Mantle of the Pale Ox. It's going to be very strong for damage reduction. You get a kill threshold, you get another dash. Feel free to mess around a little bit with this tree. The important ones are Slither, this one here, the attack speed, and the kill threshold. Everything else is kind of like, you know, you're free to use your points wherever you want. You could go for armor shred chance early if you want to. In Gathering Storm, this is going to be the main damage scaling for your Storm Bolts because it scales with this tree. So we're getting critical strike chance per Maelstrom. This is base crit chance. So this is what is going to enable us to get cap crit easily. Make sure that you have all 4 points in the Water Strider and that you're diving on cooldown. We grab all of the more multipliers, the recast here, the multiplier there, the penetration, the more multiplier per mana. So we're going to be looking forward to stacking mana to get a bigger multiplier of damage. Everything else, and also this one that gives us spell damage with our axe because we are using Tempest Maw. So yeah, so all of these, and then the rest will go into the target area. The passive are pretty straightforward. The nice thing about this is that Gathering Storm gets the Storm Bolts will get 1 flat damage per attunement. So flat damage is abundant, so you're going to be stacking attunement, and also attunement gives us increased mana. So it's going to be very nice. Attunement, dual wielding. You do take more damage while dual wielding. So, I mean, it is a downside, but like, this is like, if you don't play dual wielding, the build will not have good DPS at all. So, increased health, spell damage. This is more spell damage as well. Well, spell damage is like lightning damage, is like good values while you have a minion, and we pretty much always have a minion. Here we are grabbing endurance, we're grabbing increased damage, attunement, and strength. Strength also increases your armor. Don't underestimate armor. It's a very good source of damage mitigation. No rage decay out of combat. This is quality of life. Attack and cast speed. We're getting crit chance and health leech on crit. This one is very important alongside some of your blessings that you will get, like Grand Hunger of the Void. For the spell, damage leech as health. This is going to be your main source of recovery early on. In the starter planner, you could also use, there is another helm instead of this one that can grant you leech. So you could also use this one, but I think you have enough leech as it is with this and the blessing. Then afterwards, you go with attunement, crit avoidance, per 5 attunement. That's going to help us cap our crit avoidance as well. This one is the node that I would probably not swap into this build until you have this node. Rage gain on crit. It comes a little bit later, but it gives you a big amount of crit chance, a big amount of rage on crit, and so that's going to enable you to sustain your rage while in Swarmblade form. Hide skin for health, endurance threshold, damage mitigation with impervious, damage mitigation here, and then in the shaman tree we go for some cast speed. Well, not cast speed, but increased attack speed while we have a totem, and we have a totem because we have Stormcarved Testament, which will proc a storm totem on an 8-second cooldown. So this one should be up pretty much all the time. Attunement here, stun avoidance, always nice to not get stunned. And then you go for spell lightning damage and then shared lightning pen, which is another multiplier for your damage. Straightforward passives. Make sure that you don't swap into this build until you get at least Rageborn and maybe even a little bit further. The playstyle on this is very easy. You go into Swarmblade form, you dive on cooldown, and then use your melee attacks. Boom. Easy. Here we're going to talk a little bit about the gearing. When you're starting out, there are some items that you can use without LP. I really like the Legacy of the Quiet Forest belt because it caps your poison res easily while transformed. It gives you half of your void res that you need. Also gives you some rage recovery and has an armor base. It's going to be very easy to get this with 1 LP very early on. So slam health on this if you can. These boots also physical, poison, necrotic, just good resistance, and because we are stacking mana, we gain 60% of our current mana gain as ward when you stop moving. That's going to be another layer of defense. So very nice transient rest here. This is just like really big mana and stats for us that we like. And then a Rule of the Moon just basically enables the passive playstyle a little bit more, where your tornadoes will just spawn off of themselves and they'll just always deal damage. We can talk a little bit about the idols here that we get. Of course, this patch introduces like even better increased health prefixes for these idols. Now we also get endurance threshold. Ele res while transform is very, very strong. Keep an eye out for these ones. They're going to be able to easily cap your res. And then for the enchantments, we're going to go for like critical strike multiplier or spell damage, stuff like that, right? On these one, again, crit multi, increased spell damage while transforming, increased lightning damage. This build somewhat lacks a little bit of increased damage, so these idols can make a very, very big difference on your DPS. Lightning penetration, frailty on hit. These new frailty suffixes on the stout idols are insane, and you have so many hits that only one of these idols can cap your frailty very, very easily. So Stormbolt scales with attunement and mana boosts it, so you stack both to maximize your damage. Mental Impale Ox, very good defensively. Kolnavar's Claim, excellent to cap your crit as well, and also gives you increased lightning damage. The mana converted ward when you reach full mana does not work with rage, so because we are transform, we don't have any of the downsides of this, only the upsides, so it's a very, very strong choice. Tempest Maw, as we saw a little bit earlier, that one is going to interact with this node in Gathering Storm for the Tempest weapon, and it's going to give us spell damage per 3 melee damage. So this one is very strong as well. Seed of Yggdrasil, we already talked about it. Very good for damage dealt to mana before health. It's just like a very, very tanky option. Aura's Time Glass gives you a second life, another very tanky option. Brewmaster Belt, tanky option as well. Excellent stats, armor base, just amazing. 14 vitality as well, 20 endurance. Like, don't sleep on this belt, guys. Phantom Grip, the +2 levels of minion skills do work with Swarmblade form, so this is going to be good to get more levels there. Also gives you base crit chance, increased crit, increased mana, just like amazing ring. Even though we are not really a minion build, we do benefit from this. An Ivory Ring, this is going to be in the endgame planner before you get access to the aspirational planner. Actually, even in the aspirational planner. I thought I was using red rings. I guess I am not using red rings in this one. Basically, this caps our necrotic res. You get a lot of attunement. We get a lot of resistances here. This will just help us, and the ward decay threshold is nice because we are also using ward with transient rest. Rule of the Simoon, automatically proc tornado. So we pretty much covered all of the items here. In the aspirational planner, you can go for Nihilis over a over the Aura's Time Glass if you want to. This gives you +2 skills. If you get a really well rolled one, increased mana, increased health, movement speed, plus skills, all res, more armor. It's just like, it's a really, really good amulet. But it's going to be hard to get. So that's why I put it in the aspirational. Here we talk about the offensive stats and the defensive stats scaling. You can read a little bit more here if you want to. Click on the loot filter. I've actually just released my loot filter video guide. If you haven't watched that one, every single max roll planner will now have access to like an insane loot filter base for any build that you want to do. You can just click an empty planner and do it yourself in game, or you can populate this with any of the stats that you want, and the filter will populate with all of these affixes with very cohesive rules and a good rule set to be able to progress, or leveling, end game, mid game, whatever. It's going to do it all. Of course, in the end game, if you want to go more specific, you will need to change a few rules here and there, or just unclick certain rules and select other affixes in some places. But please go check out my video about the loot filter. It's going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to play with this myself. So that is pretty much it for the Lightning Swarmblade. Overall, I think this build is good, but nothing special. It hasn't changed that much. Yes, we get a little bit tankier. Mental Pale Ox, Brewmaster Buckle. I really love these items, by the way, but that's it. If you want to be a melee build that attacks and has a bunch of tornadoes, this build is for you. Hope you guys learned something today, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.